Okay, you're live streaming.
Welcome back. Sorry for being so late. We have a lot of things to address. With that being said, could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing to honor three individuals recently passed away: Teresa Langlaise, Helen Wixell, and Patricia Ann King. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
To the flag
of the United
of
States of America,
America,
for which it
the
stands,
republic
one
for which it
nation,
stands,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
indivisible,
liberty and
justice for all.
justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you. 4.01, recipient of Better Beginning Award from Ms. Mary Turi. With that being said, Superintendent, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, President Lumia, Vice President Odoms, and members of the Board of Education. Our spotlight has returned. Unfortunately, it can't be in person, but it is virtual. We have a very, very exciting award to celebrate this evening. And I would like to recognize Mary Turi, who is one of our outstanding educators at Fishkill Elementary School. I'd like to talk a little bit about what Mrs. Turi has achieved. The New York State Board of Regents sponsors the Better Beginnings Award in honor of Helen Back Moss, a New York educator who passed away in 1988. This award celebrates the life and career of Helen Bach Moss by recognizing elementary teachers who are gifted in finding and nurturing the strengths of each individual student. Wappinger Central School District is thrilled to announce that the 2020 Beginnings Award, Better Beginning Award recipient is Mrs. Mary Turi, kindergarten teacher from Fishkill Elementary School. Mrs. Turi was nominated for this award by Dr. Amy Watkins, who had help in compiling direct feedback from Mary's principal, Dr. Andrew McNally, former student, and her mother, Allison Owens, her colleague, Bonnie Sherpin, who's a teacher at Fishkill Elementary School, and Barbara Struck, who is a community member. These individuals shared specific examples of how Mary has illustrated her ability to engage young minds and provide a nurturing environment for her students to learn. Parent Allison Owens shared that as someone who volunteered in Mrs. Turi's classroom, she witnessed the routines that had been established, including the on-task behavior of all of the students in the room. She continued adding, Mrs. Turi's classroom has an overly warm and welcoming feeling about it. Mrs. Owens' daughter, Ellie, and Abby, former students in Mrs. Turi's room, shared that she loves Mrs. Turi because Mrs. Turi helps her get better at reading books. Mary's colleague, Bonnie Sherpin, shared that Mary is constantly collaborating with the PTA to come up with better ways to enrich the lives of our students, faculty, and staff. And Barbara Stuck, a volunteer in Mrs. Turi's classroom, shared that entering her classroom, you may see kindergartners enthusiastically working on iPads or Chromebooks, children sitting on cushions, reading, children actively learning at makerspace centers or working with peer mentors. It is clear that Mrs. Turi provides enriching learning opportunities for her students. And it is with great pride and our pleasure that we share this accomplishment this evening with you. Having known Mary for a number of years and having her students at John Jay when I was once principal there, I can tell you that not only is Mrs. Turi a phenomenal teacher, she's a phenomenal parent. She's a phenomenal person. I could think of no one more deserving of this award. And with that, I introduce the Better Beginnings Award recipient from the New York State Board of Regents for 2020, Mrs. Mary Turi. Mrs. Turi, please feel free to say a few words.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Mr. Lumia, Board of Ed members, Dr. Bonk, thank you. I am truly honored and humbled to have received the Better Beginnings Award in honor of Helen Bach Moss. And she was an educator, as you heard, and she passed away in 1988. And when I spoke to her husband a week ago, I learned that this is the 30th year. This is the 30th year that he has given out this award. And I really can't thank him enough for his generosity. And it's just such a wonderful way to honor his wife. And as you heard, the spirit of the award is that better beginnings make stronger completions. And Helen was gifted in this. And she truly built on working on getting to know the kids' strengths and fostering those relationships with the children and their parents. And she knew that the children would thrive. And I think in our world today, this is true even more now than ever. And I think that you really need to believe, and we have to believe in our students and see those strengths. And to be recognized as having a positive impact like Helen is truly amazing. I have been lucky to be part of the Wappingers District as both a parent and a teacher. And as Dr. Bonk said, our 4 children did graduate from Jay, and they had a wonderful education, and it's serving them well. They all have jobs. It's really quite exciting. And, you know, I'm truly lucky to be working in a district that has given me the support to become a better teacher. And as great as Wappingers is, Fishkill, I have to say, Fishkill Elementary is truly the best school. We are a family, and it's a wonderful place to be able to get up and go to work every morning. And we have the best staff, and I am truly a better teacher because of all of them. You know, as I've thought about this, there are just so many people that have helped me along the way and mentored me, and just so many people that I, you know, could thank. Certainly my family has always been there to support me. They're the best. But I also, 2 people before I end, I need to thank specifically, first Dr. Amy Watkins and Dr. Andy McNally. And Amy came to me a year ago and said, you know, Mary, have you ever heard of this award? And I said, no. And I said, oh my gosh, though, think of all the amazing people you can pick from. It'll be terrific. And she just looked at me and shook her head and said, no, Mary. And then when I finally figured it out, I was like, no. But apparently it was a yes. And so, Amy, I'm still not exactly sure what you've seen, but thank you. And to Andy, thank you for always believing me and supporting me. And please just know how extremely grateful I am. So thank you again, and I am really most appreciative.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Mrs. Turi.
Thanks, Dr. Bonk.
Mary, on behalf of the Board of Education, I too want to interim superintendent comments. I want to thank you for all you do for students, to congratulate you on receiving the Teachers Award. Continued success. I'm happy that you work for us.
Thank you, Mr. Lumia. I appreciate it.
Anyone else? Thank you. And with that being said, good luck tomorrow.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mrs. Turi.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think you have to start out to Mary. I think that's all of us. Okay. 4.02, Superintendent's Report, Monthly Financial Updates.
Thank you again, President Lumia. And before we get to the financial update, I would like to communicate to the community that the Wappinger Central School District is totally committed to resuming sports based upon the announcement that was made Friday evening by Governor Cuomo. We look forward to working with the New York State Physical Education Association as well as Section 1 to make this a reality. In addition to our continued commitment to in-person instruction and providing as much as we can safely under the guidelines, we also believe that sports participation, I should say participation not only in sports, but all activities are extremely important to the social and emotional well-being of our students. And I wanted to indicate that to the community before I move on with the financial report. So at this time, I would like to introduce our Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance, Ms. Kristen Crandall. She's going to take an opportunity to go through our financial update as of January 25th, 2021. And without any further ado, Ms. Crandall, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Bonk. Good evening, Board of Education. As we've been doing each month, we will be providing you with a financial update. We do have some exciting news this month, both based on the current budget and the executive budget that has been presented since the end of last week. So as the superintendent has indicated, this is a repeat a lot of this information, and but we do find our mission and our core values to be vital and integral as we build this budget, as we work through these unprecedented times through the pandemic. On the 21-22 budget process, we have provided the Board of Education with the preliminary budgets, and they are available on our website. Transportation and undistributed preliminary budgets will be presented on February 8th. At the second meeting in February, we will be providing the Board of Education with a rollover budget. And a rollover budget essentially caps all expenses at the 2021 budget amounts, with the exception of those that are driven by contract. So if it is, for example, BOCES, we know that there's contractual increases in BOCES, we will increase that. We will also work with our health insurance number, for example, as well as all of our bargaining units. This provides a true starting point for our discussions, and then allows for items to be moved around in that way. This will be the first budget that we will provide to the Board of Education that will give the line-by-line detail and explanation as has been requested. The 2021-2022 New York State executive budget proposal was provided to the state middle of last week. It was murky at best. If we thought this year's budget wasn't clear and what was happening, next year's appears to be just the same. We do have an increase in aid, but there is a proposal that takes all of our reimbursable aids. This is something we've discussed in the past. These are aids such as our transportation aid, our textbook aid, our BOCES aid, and lumps them all into something called the services aid. And there is an increase in that area for the district. That is not true of all districts around the state, but there is an increase in that area for Wappingers. It's really tough to take reimbursable aids that are all at different values and reimbursement rates and calculations even to get to those numbers and lump them all together. So we have serious concerns in that area, and New York State Association of School Business Officials has already started advocacy campaigns to try to understand, number one, how this all works, and number two, decide whether or not it's even really a great idea. We're also talking about how the school aid proposal will really look like. It's unfolding in a very interesting way. In the 2020-21 school aid, there is a pandemic adjustment, which is a reduction that equals exactly what the CARES Act money was. That was pretty clear, right? Everybody understood that. However, in the 21-22 state aid school runs, there is something now called a local district funding adjustment, which replaces the dollar amount that the district is on tap to receive if the $6 billion in aid goes to New York State. Do you see where the complexity comes in? It's just a lot going on. But anyway, that local district funding adjustment will replace the Corona Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act. So essentially what's happening is it looks like it's very similar to the CARES Act. The state is taking away New York State aid that would equal the amount we would get through the CRRSA Act. Again, still subject for discussion. There's also a line item where the school tax relief, or we call that STAR, is also eliminated. That has never been included in a state aid run before. So they're trying to understand different advocacy groups, my listservs, trying to understand what exactly is going on. So there's lots of things that are in the midst. I will be attending a webinar to discuss this further, I believe the end of this week, if not the beginning of next week, to try to have a further understanding. Add to that the Consumer Price Index, CPI, which is one of the key factors in the tax cap calculation, which can be capped at 2% in any given year, is actually at 1.23%. This is the second lowest tax or consumer price index that has been seen since the inception of the tax cap legislation in 2012-13. Now remember, the tax cap calculation is 7 different steps. We don't have all those pieces. We didn't have all those pieces as of Friday afternoon. Just received notification that there is an additional piece, so I can start to do that calculation available now. So this is still a work in progress. We do not know what our tax cap will be on our levy as of yet. And as soon as we know that, we will share that information and we will go forward. An additional piece of information with regard to the 21-22 school year is the vote. And everybody remembers what the vote looked like this year, but what will it look like on May 18th of 2021? We have many opportunities for voting. We have nothing written in stone. We have a lot of what if scenarios. Do we have 100% absentee ballot? Will there be in-person voting with absentee, a combination? We'll be looking at electronic poll pad technology to help to move the process along. But the district clerk and the business office have been having discussions on what this may look like and how we can adjust, like we had to do last year, just pivot to make this what if game work. And we want to make sure that we're being cost effective. We want to make sure that the election is held in accordance with education law, and we want to make sure that any of our vote results can be held up, as need be. The present status of New York State aid, and the superintendent doesn't even know this yet because I haven't had the opportunity to share this with him because I just learned about it myself. But it appears that the Department of Budget for New York State Division of Budget has indicated that there will be no withholding of New York State aid for school districts in 2020-2021, that they have managed to be able to cover the shortfall of any aid reductions that were going to be necessary in order to balance their budget. This is fantastic news. Allegedly, the districts that did have reductions made, which Wappingers is one of them, would be also restored for that back funding as well. This has not come from the governor's office. This has come from the Division of Budget. So we would like to see more assurances before we can guarantee that that's the case. However, at this point in time, we are warily pleased with this potential news for the district. But again, not clear, not a lot of information. So we will proceed assuming that there will be a cut. That's what these slides represent. This is a lot of the same information that you have seen in the past with minor updates. As of January 22nd, we didn't have any information. As of January 25th, we do. So we're cautiously hopeful. As we continue through these slides, again, we have cost overruns that need to occur in order for us to be operational in a hybrid model. We do have that total negative impact to be as high as $13.7 million. Again, that's assuming a lot of worst case scenarios, which hopefully will not be something we need to worry about going forward. And by the time we have our February meeting, hopefully we can have some more stability with those numbers for 2020, 2021. I'm sorry. This next slide again shows if the 20% did occur, just for us to be aware, and hopefully we will have even more insight into the 21-22 governor's executive budget proposal at our next presentation as well. We're in limbo right now. We got a lot of information flying around, and we're just trying to keep you as up to date as possible. The next slide does provide some financial respite with the area of financial savings. These are the same savings that we have noted before. We had the premium holiday, which was actually received from the Dutchess Educational Health Insurance Consortium, meaning that the district did not pay premiums in December for the month of January. And when you add those items up, you get approximately $4.4 million of potential savings, which could reduce that negative impact and the shortfall down to 9.2 million. Again, these numbers all change in the course of an afternoon when this type of information gets shared, and we are cautiously hopeful that this will be a significant change in reporting for the month of February. So what does all of this mean? We have K-12 hybrid in-person learning at all Wappingers buildings and for all Wappinger students as of the date of this presentation. It has been a effort to address each building's needs and to make it work, and the administration and this Board of Education has been in support of that, and that's what we continue to do. We will continue our monthly work. We will be updating this presentation as needed. We will be working with that CPI at 1.23%. and also unraveling the governor's executive budget proposal as we move forward and see what federal funding and relief will be our way through the Coronavirus Relief and Restoration Act. We will continue on this same path. We provide weekly updates to the educational updates to the community, monthly updates to the Board of Education, as well as information sharing through the means we have with the Board of Education. We're hopeful that we will not have any mid-year reductions going forward. That's something we're still mindful of just in case that has to happen. But topmost priority is keeping our students safe, keeping our staff and faculty safe, and making this learning environment the best that we can for our students through this pandemic and beyond.
Ms.
And
Crandall,
thank you very much.
I'd like to thank you for your presentation. As always, very thorough and well done. That's great potential news, and I do say potential because I think one thing that we can count on is that it's a fluid situation and it can change day to day. So I hope that what you indicated and that what you heard, I hope that it comes to fruition. It will be of tremendous benefit to our district, obviously, and to our students as well. So with that, at this point, I'd like to open it up to the Board of Education for any questions.
Eddie.
Thank you, Ms. Crandall. Always informative each month, so I do appreciate the work that you put in to update us and the community. If you could just clarify again, just so clear understanding for everyone and especially the community, we are anticipating our full aid in our March and May payments for this school year. Is there any indication as we go forward, as you had mentioned, just to clarify, what is the potential moving forward for 21-22 with potential cuts and with this new potential reconfiguration, whether or not we would not be receiving, or the chances that we may not be receiving our full aid for the next school year,
Okay.
just to, just obviously, I know you don't know 100% for sure, but just what you had explained earlier and just what conversations you're having with your colleagues.
Sure. So to clarify, the district did have a portion of the aid that we were slated to receive in the 2019-20 school year reduced by New York State. None of this discussion about aid reductions occurred during the budget process. So we went into the budget process last year knowing that there was going to be a pandemic adjustment, which equaled the CARES Act, which was approximately $1 million for the district. So we already knew that that was going to happen. Then we got told about the potential aid cut. That wasn't part of the budget process. So if that had been part of the budget process, we would have been a little, let me rephrase, hyper aware that we could lose $11 million. So let's revamp, let's look, and some districts did do that. They pushed off their budget vote, their approval by their board a couple of weeks later beyond what we even did to try to mitigate and take care of where they could make some additional cuts. It did not come in until the very end. So going forward into the rest of 2021, the Division of Budget is indicating that there will not be any cuts to balance the New York State budget from school aid for the remainder of this school year. In addition, any aid that had been reduced in the past will be brought back to the district. That would be us for 1920. For 21-22, right now, all that we see is the local district funding adjustment, LDFA, and also a CRRSA Corona relief package that equals with a certain dollar amount. We could be cautiously wary of a potential need to reduce state aid, but until the governor gets to a point of where he sees where his budget is heading, he's balancing our budget right now using federal funding for the coronavirus. That's how he's balancing our budget. So until I think he sees what truly New York State will not have available or will have available, I don't know if we'll have those aid reduction discussions again, even until June or July like last year. So I think we should be aware of it, but I don't have that crystal ball, Mr. Slowshower, and I know you don't have one either. We would like
Right,
to,
because
but we really just don't know.
what concerns me is everything that you said, makes sense, and thank you. But, the concern is that, this is being conveyed based on, the federal government, kind of caving into the demands of our governor, who has publicly stated, I want $15 billion. That's what I need. So he's making these statements to everybody based on the fact that he thinks Washington is going to come through with COVID relief, based on the numbers that he's looking for. And yeah, I think we need to proceed very careful, and work our numbers that, unfortunately this may not happen, so that we're in a position where, we can deal with what we need to deal with. And obviously if this funding comes through, obviously puts everybody in a better light, in a better situation. So thank you for the explanation.
Oh, sorry, just to be clear, the funding package that is representative of the New York State executive budget proposal is $6 billion. So he did cut down his $15 billion request by $9 billion. So hopefully if it does come in at $15 billion, there should be some extra in the pot for us, okay?
I should check with you for up-to-date news. Obviously, I'm behind, so thanks for the update. Thank you for the explanation.
No
I just wanted to just clear that. Thank you.
Any other question by any other board member?
Just kudos to Mrs. Crandall. Kudos.
Thank you, Christian, for
She's
your
done a wonderful job
presentation.
this year.
And
It's more important than ever.
with that being said, 5.01, public comments on agenda items. A total of 30 minutes at the beginning of each board meeting is set aside for public comments on agenda items only. Individual comments on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes and are based on the open meeting law and the board policy 1230. Debate or dialogue with board members not allowed during the meeting. Compliments or complaints about student discipline, specific student issues, or personnel must not be addressed during public comment. Comments or questions to the use of public forum will be sent to the appropriate staff member who will provide response on the district public comment response webpage. If you wish to address items relating to our school district that are not on tonight's agenda, another comment period is provided at the end of the meeting for that purpose. In the interest of civility and respect for different points of view, clapping, booing, or any disturbance interruption is not permitted. At this time, comments related to agenda items only are welcome. Please state your name and the agenda items you're speaking on. Alberta, do we have any comments on the agenda items?
We have one that was sent to the board in relation to, it was addressed in the superintendent's report this evening, so I'll just read this into the record. Dear board members, as you know, the New York State Department of Health has approved participation in higher risk sports beginning February 1, as long as permitted by local health authorities. As our county executive has stated that he will work with the county health department to let our students play, we want to urge WCSD, if it has not already done so, to immediately set up plans to get our players back on the fields and courts and to communicate with our players, coaches, and families on the athletic season guidelines. RCK athletics and coaches proved themselves very responsible during fall and winter sports. And we know you will support our teams as they start playing again. Submitted by the RCK PTSA board. Thank you. That's all the comments.
Thank you for that comment. 5.02, committee reports. Please try to keep them to 3 minutes, since there are 8 different reports. So please be concise. Thank you. With that being said, Mr. Schleishauer, Capital Improvement Committee.
It's like presenting the evening news. Thank you, President Lumia, and everyone. Very quickly, the Capital Committee met this past January 6th. Real quick update on our HVAC Phase 1. Work has been completed at RCK, Myers Corner, and the John Jay administrative areas. The HVAC for Phase 2 at John Jay, the C and D wing exhaust fans and unit ventilator piping are near completion. I would anticipate we'd probably be done by the end of the month, weather permitting. Rooftop units are scheduled to be delivered at the end of March for installation over spring break. So that project should be wrapping up, at that time. The parking lot addition at Fishkill Elementary has been completed. Just want everyone to know that this was not a project where the district incurred any additional costs. This was money that was used via savings of our prior capital projects. So I want to thank Mr. Bross, our Director Bross, Superintendent Bonk, as well as our architects and our vendors for getting the other projects done under budget, which gave us a little extra money to address this concern. The committee is continuing to review numbers as we receive it from Director Bross and our architects. Hopefully we'll have some additional monies saved from these projects where we can address some other small projects within the district. And yes, one of the small project discussions is expanding the outdoor playground at Myers. So for the Myers community, the committee has not forgotten about you. We are still looking at ways to try to come up with resources to address that situation. With regards to the energy performance for Amoresco, LED lighting has been changed out at RCK, Myers Corners, James Evans, Wap Jr., Sheaf Road, Vassar Road, and Breakerhoff. We're continuing to do the other schools as well. All the new gas appliances have been all set up, completed, and are operational since school opened. Exterior LED lighting has begun. We anticipate solar panels starting at some point in the spring when the weather breaks at our several schools. We did receive our new snow sweeper for the buses at Wap Jr. Hopefully we won't have any real major storms for the next couple of months, but it is something that we needed. Last thing is we are finishing up on some duct work and some other projects with regards to the heating at the new Wap Jr. Bus garage. That's it. And
Thank you, Legislative Committee, Mr. Schleishauer.
I'll go right into legislative action. This is real quick. Committee met on the 20th. We are still working on our topics to make recommendations to the board. Obviously, there has been a tremendous amount of information that has changed since our last couple of meetings. Each of our breakout committee groups are working on gathering additional information. As I said, with information that was just shared with us from Ms. Crandall, as well as things that have been taking place with the new administration coming in Washington. Several things are still in the works, and our subcommittees are working on gathering that information. We do have another meeting coming up in February. Our goal is to try to have something presented to the board for its consideration at either the first or second board meeting in March. Thank you.
Ms. Policy Committee. Peggy?
Yes. The Policy Committee met on January 6th. The attending members were Mr. Lumia, the board president, trustees Linda Rappaport, Eddie Schleishauer, and myself. Dr. Bonk, our district clerk, Alberta Pedro, and guests, Attorney Pam Boss, and the principals of Marcy Ketchum and John Jay, David Sipe and David Kezalawa, and Kurt Jessman, the director for athletics. We finished up, this was the third meeting at which we discussed district marks, which are the nicknames, logos, and team names for the schools. And we realized that what we needed to do was have clearer directions about how these should be used. The schools, the building principals worked very hard finding the history of the marks at their schools, whether they were designed by teachers or students or other people from their school, or whether they were taken off the internet, because if they're off the internet, we can't control it, but we can certainly control those that we use. So we developed a policy, and that will be up for second reading today. Also, we went over, in our part of our three-year review, we went over a number of other policies, made grammatical changes, and you can also find those. There's for second reading tonight, and if approved, they'll be in the policy updates. Okay. Our next meeting will be next Wednesday, February 4th, and we will be continuing with the three-year review.
Ms. Keller, Dutchess County Board Association.
Okay, yes, the Dutchess County School Boards Association met on January 7th, and the guest speaker was David Shaw, attorney at Shaw, Perelson, May, and Lambert, who presented information on collective bargaining issues to the group. Since everybody doesn't know what money we're going to have from the state, and the effect of PPE costs, teacher contract settlements, health insurance, tax levy limit, and expected retirement system costs, since it was all kind of up in the air, he could only give us a range of issues that might be discussed. And he couldn't really tell us even as much as Ms. Crandall was able to tell us today, since they keep coming out with new information all the time. We were reminded that NISBA's Capital Conference will be on February 3rd. This is usually held in Albany, but they're going to be doing it virtually this year, and all school board members are invited to take part. If so, you wish to go, please contact our district clerk, Alberta Pedro. I already signed up. We're also hoping to have a prospective board members workshop again. Of course, it will be by Zoom, but if anyone in the audience is thinking of running for the school board, it's a very helpful workshop where current board members and other attorneys and others will explain to you the legal and practical ramifications. Thank you.
Community Communication Committee, Ms. Johnson.
Yes, thank you, guys. Our meeting was December 15th. I would like to welcome Dr. Gail Duffy and Crystal Schweier. We admitted them into our committee, which we will be having our next meeting next week, February 2nd at 3 o'clock via Zoom for anyone that would like to join us. We discussed the board goal that we were looking into. At this time, we're going to monitor what's been happening. We don't feel we need to go any further with that at this point. Going forward, Ms. Kellen has been gracious in helping us look over some of our current district documents in our beginning of the year and so forth, to revise, to make sure they're streamlined as best as possible. She has been working with Mr. Lokima diligently, and she's going to be bringing some of that forward to us next week so that we can review, and hopefully we'll be able to come to the board with some more information next month. And I can go right into my audit committee from there.
Absolutely. Go right ahead, Marie.
We just like jumping on to our next meetings, John. All right, so audit committee just met a little while ago, actually this evening, and I want to thank all of those that were able to make it tonight. I want to thank Mrs. Crandall and the team from RBT for their, which does our external risk assessment audit. And they do a fantastic job, and they had a lot going for them this year with the pandemic. It's not a normal audit. and they've done an amazing job. We will be presenting in the near future to the Board of Education, and I just would like to thank them for everything that they have done. And I believe, I'm not sure our next meeting is, I believe, in March. I would have to double check on that one. But I would like to, that's pretty much what we've done on that one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marie. District-wide Safety Committee, Mr. Lukema.
Thank you. Good evening. The District-wide Safety Committee did meet as well on January 6th. Present were President Lumia, Trustee Odoms, Trustee Rappaport, and Trustee Spencer. We engaged in our normal business to begin the review of next year's district-wide safety plan. This year, though, it's based on a new template that was provided and shared by the Alteris Security Group. Also, in addition, we had some new business. Governor Cuomo had signed legislation that required that we plan for future pandemics or cases of, communicable disease type situations. So the process is a little bit involved in that we have to draft a component of our safety plan, a sub chapter, if you will, and then have that language, which we reviewed with the committee, reviewed by our local bargaining units, and if agreeable, then presented to the public as an amendment to this year's 2021 district-wide safety plan with a 30-day comment period, which will begin with Ms. Pedro's help some point in probably February, early March, with a timeline of having the Board of Education approve an amended version of our 2020-21 safety plan with the new added requirement that pertains to this preparing for a pandemic type annex in the plan. That is it, and we'll look forward to the next steps.
Thank you very much for that meeting. Wellness Committee, Ms. Hill.
Good evening. On January 13th, the Wellness Committee met. We had pretty fantastic attendance for 8 a.m. in the morning, so thank you to all the committee members for attending. We had a couple of topics on the agenda. The one that took up the most time, and as it should, was the required annual surveys for both students and the community members. We really are trying to come up with a plan on how to and what questions to ask without any guidance from New York State. So the Wellness Committee does their homework, just like always. They will be reviewing some sample survey questions, and we will be meeting again on March 17th of 2021. At this time is via Zoom based on what information we have, and we will look to get that survey out sooner than later. Thank you.
Curriculum Committee, Dr. Carwell.
Good evening, everyone. The Curriculum Committee met on January 20th. The committee was fortunate enough to have the technology and professional development specialists present to the committee on the work that they have been doing with our teachers and teaching assistants in hybrid and remote learnings. The committee shared that they have been able to provide extensive professional development in a variety of ways to our instructional staff. They have been able to provide in-service opportunities, sessions during superintendent's conference days. They've been working with teachers on ongoing professional development through residencies, and also been able to meet with grade level and department teachers on how to conduct engaging, interactive lessons in both remote and hybrid settings. So whether if a student is in person, hybrid, and or remote, the students should have ample opportunities to engage in lessons that are of high quality and are engaging and interactive for the students. What the committee also discussed is the need for the professional development specialists and the tech specialists to really inform the public and the rest of the instructional staff of the services that they are providing. This way, the public and the parents and community members can be aware of the work that is taking place in the district, as well as discussing ways in which we can get additional staff members the support that they need to also deliver engaging lessons regardless of the support. With only 6 professional development specialists, it is difficult to reach the over 800 teachers and 200 teaching assistants that we have, but they are definitely working hard and doing the best that they can. We are working on getting the professional development specialists and the tech specialists to record a presentation and or provide a presentation to the community, and information on that will be forthcoming shortly.
Before we go to the last report, I'd like to make a comment. First of all, Dr. Carl, thank you for having the professional developers for an excellent presentation at this curriculum meeting. It was unfortunate that that meeting was not live streamed so that our community would have seen for themselves the immense value that they provide to our student and staff. I've asked Dr. Kawa to see if they can recreate the last meeting so it can be posted on the website. Moreover, I hope that the board will get the approval to live stream this particular events. They are incredible. I tell you, I've been on the board for many, many years. And the last meeting that we had, perhaps the most informative meeting that I've ever had. These guys really work hard, and they deserve our praise. Thank you. And with that, BOCES, Mr. Rubin.
Thank you, Mr. Lumia. I also want to thank Ms. Johnson because I believe it was at last meeting that she had asked for an update on the BOCES capital project. The capital project is proceeding, but very slowly at this point. I had to go back when she asked, I had to go back and get information authorization from the board, and they submitted information to the public. I believe you may have seen it. There was a copy of Dr. Hooley's email, but basically one of our prime contractors there dropped the ball. He just can't do the job. And he's one of our major prime contractors in that he does the foundation and the footings there. So we did some work, the BOCES, I should say, did some work, brought in some fill, et cetera, and they're going to have to rebid that portion of the contract as well as the contractor's bonding company is now involved so that BOCES hopefully will be getting money from the bonding company as well. Thank you.
Before we go to the next topic.
Drop by on Salt Point Turnpike, take a look at it. It's still a pretty incredible sight to see this building.
Mr. Lumia, can I just jump in? I did go back. Anybody that wants to see it, I did go back and watch the last BOCES. I try and go back and watch the BOCES meeting. I don't get them live, but I do go back and watch them. And I did go back and they had a presentation. I see that they have another one scheduled for next month. So anybody that wants further information, because there was a bunch that they gave out, I have to say they were really great about it. Definitely go back and take a look at that meeting from last month on the Dutchess County BOCES site.
Eddie?
The quick question. It's more, thank you, Mr. Rubin, for that update. If Ms. Crandall is still with us. Ms. Crandall, do you know offhand, with regards to our payments for that particular project, if you are aware, if there's anything in the agreement or contract, if we were made privy as to whether or not the contractor either defaults or is in this particular situation where they terminated the contractor and have to rebid this. Obviously, we're contributing funds for a third of this project. If we've already gone out, sent money, or we're looking to bond or borrow money to make our contribution, does that put us in what situation does that put us in? Or do we have any recourse to hold funds back until the project is moving forward? Do you know of anything pertaining to that in the agreement or no?
As of this date, the district has contributed approximately $6.6 million of the 10.5 or 10.3 that we are required to. This is all very recent with regard to this contractor in the last week and a half. So I anticipate that we will be hearing about it. I go to monthly school business official meetings where it is actually held and conducted and coordinated by the financial superintendent at Dutchess County BOCES. So, and he speaks to each of us as a component unit, because that's what we are. So I anticipate getting an update at that point in time. I have not had the opportunity to ask the question, and nor do I know where we stand with regard to recourse, but I know we still have a payment of approximately $3.5 million to make come July 15th of 2021, and it'll definitely be a conversation piece as we move forward.
Okay, yeah, if you could just keep the board updated in the weekly memo, that would be appreciated. Thank you for your comments.
Okay, before we go on to the next topic, I would like to congratulate John Jay student Catherine Tan for being recognized by the Catherine Community Center on Martin Luther Day as one of the local outstanding students. Her success in her future studies in computer science. So congratulations, Catherine Tan.
Hey, Mr. Lumia.
That being said,
Mr.
yes, sir.
Lumia, you may
Yes,
have
go ahead,
also
Rube.
seen in a previous correspondence that it's a John Jay graduate who is actually engineering. I don't know what they call the contracting, helping to run the show over there at the construction at BOCES.
Ah, very good. I think we saw that. With that being said, 101 consent agenda resolution. Is there any item for the consent
Yes.
agenda that people want to pull, Marie?
Yes, I want to pull item 6.02, line number 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Anyone else? Keith, you got those numbers?
Sure, I do.
Go ahead.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the following consent agenda items as stated. 6.02, except line number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 6.03, 6.04, 6.05, 6.06, 6.07, 6.08, and 6.09.
Motion.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Funky and Rube, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 6.02, Marie?
I just want to have these items pulled and tabled at this point in time.
All those in favor?
Second.
Well, wait a second.
We
May
have
I,
to-
what do I have to do to ask her a question?
Oh, what do you,
Ask your question.
these are the items we discussed in executive session, Rob.
Oh, okay.
Just
Clarifying
6.02.
Question, Marie?
Marie, what's
Huh?
that?
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes,
Sure.
go ahead.
A motion to table will then bring it back at the next board meeting exactly as written. If that is
Yeah.
not what you want to do, then you would need a motion to postpone indefinitely, which kills it and takes it off the agenda entirely.
Okay, well, can I do that then?
Yes.
So you would make a motion to postpone indefinitely items 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 from agenda item 6.02. You need a motion, a second,
I'll make the motion.
and vote.
Second,
I'll second.
Peggy, second it. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye, unanimous. All right, with that being said, are there any other take on that? 7.02, approval of the state advocate liaison.
7.01, John.
I'm sorry. Wrong.
Resolved that the Board of Education does
Wait a minute,
hereby.
Keith, wait a minute, 7.01.
Yeah.
Approval of new club charters. Go ahead.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the new club charters for the Environmental Science Club and the Culturally Responsive Club at Wappingers Junior High School as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Mr. Morgan, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
unanimous. Appointment.
John, I think Linda had something. Just
John, did you have something? John?
Dr. Bonk was trying to get your attention.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dwight.
Thank you, Trustee Morgan. Yes, I just wanted to commend Wappingers Junior High School in developing the Cultural Responsive Club. We've had other buildings that have done such. Please understand that we are committed to equity and cultural responsiveness for all of our students throughout the district. And this is a step in that direction. We will be announcing some exciting initiatives within the coming months as to how we're going to have district cultural responsive committees, as well as those that are building specific, that are going to be promoting equity and cultural responsiveness for all of our students. So thank you. And again, congratulations to Wappingers Junior High School for getting this up and running.
So the vote is unanimous. 7.02, I'll read that, Keith, I'll read it.
Okay,
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby trustee Peggy Killen to serve as New York State School Board Association advocacy liaison, and trustee John Morgan to serve as the alternate New York State School Board Association advocacy liaison for the 2020-2021 school year.
So
Motion?
moved.
I'll motion. I'll second.
Moved in, Eddie, all those in favor?
No, wait, just a question.
Nobody in favor, that's
Just
it, case closed.
No
So-
question. They both have agreed to this, John?
Yeah, of course they have. I wouldn't
Okay.
put them on their names.
Mr. Morgan?
No,
John, go ahead, John. Agree to
No,
it.
I thought we were still voting. I was slow taking my hand down.
There's no vote. I pointed you to.
Oh, that's right.
7.03, second reading and adoption of policies. Keith?
resolved that the Board of Education of Wappinger Central School District hereby approves the second reading of and adopts the following policies based upon the first reading by the board and the recommendation of the policy committee as stated.
So moved.
Second.
Peggy Killen, second. Any discussion? Linda? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. 8.01. Board members may request additional items, additional agenda items, discussion items, or requests for information. Does anybody want to add it into the agenda?
Sir, one thing.
Yes, Bob.
It's more of an information for the public. I know that the COVID vaccine has been extremely hard to come by. If anybody in our public has any members who are veterans who have been members of the armed forces, and they meet federal guidelines, and they use the Castle Point VA, please contact your primary there. You may be able to get the vaccine there. I got my first shot there.
Thank you. Are there comments from the public, Alberta, on non-agenda items? See none, I make a motion to adjourn. Any
So
second?
moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for all your work. See you. Buona notte.
Good night, all.